Jeez. 18k DB, bro. By the way, guys, I do live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Lord_Zelly. You guys want to come through and check out my live content? I do have memes on stream and everything like that, provided with, you know, some pretty decent PvP. So if y'all like the YouTube videos, come by, drop a follow, and check in with me live. Don't forget to hit that follow button a few times, slap the shit out of it.
Yeah, boy.
And if you don't, Canada PK will send me sad, well, pictures of sad crows. I don't like that. Yo, what's up, guys? Mr. Lord Zelly here. Been a couple months since I've updated my Stamplar build, and I finally found something that I feel like is much better accustomed to this patch. It's another typical max stat build, but I just thought I'd update something for you guys. But before I get on to the gear sets and everything, I would just like to show the stats, you know, just soft buff. You can see from the back, our stamina is extremely low, and I'm going to explain why later, but we have a good amount of HP. This is about 29k in Cyrodiil. Our stamina regen is averaging 1700. It's a lot higher than what I'm used to running. That's not including what we get from the rune. Our HP recovery is also pretty decent. We are sitting at 1280, and if you look how incredibly tanky we are, again, we have a lot of resistances. This is not including Master Sword and Board. This is not including Sword and Board bar in general. If I swap to Sword and Board bar, you can see I'm already at 35k spell resistance and 33k physical. Really tanky build. I'm in love with it. Our weapon damage averages 4699 with a crit of 36.2. This would be a little higher, but CP, forget the name of the CP, but we lost a little bit of crit because of that. Our physical pen actually averages 9k. The tooltip here is a little bugged, but it is 9k, and the reason why it's increasing is because my pen does increase depending on what my target's pen is, because we are using a Maul. If I were to just soft buff here, okay, inside the rune here, this is more of what it's going to look like on a Sword and Board bar. 37k and 36k, because we're not going to actually get this high because of Battle Spirit, so we're going to hit like 37, 38. If I just soft buff with Alchemist here, we're sitting at 6200 weapon damage with the Enchant proc, and if we use a pot, we get 1700 HP recovery and 2200 stamina recovery, which is more than enough, which also explains our low stam pool. Currently, I'm using the Serpent, and I'm using Artaeum Takeaway Broth to stack with 7th Legion so I can get some more HP regen and also get a lot of sustain. And this is not including passives from 2H when you kill a target. This is one of my last fights in IC in this build. You can see the stats are actually the same. My weapon damage capped at 7,700, and pen effectively went up to 32,000 while dropping a 500-old Balorgh. The pen can change a lot, but it just depends on the target. But average pen seems to be like 20k to like 24,000, depending on who you're fighting and what buffs you have active. Alright, so now I'm gonna get into the sets. So it's a pretty standard setup. We got 5 medium and 2 heavy on this build. We're using Balorghs for our monster helm. 2 medium, of course. We got Inpen still. And then our body pieces are 7th Legion for decent damage actually, and some health recovery. So we got chest, legs, and then jewelry pieces, all infused weapon damage of 7th Legion. Our next set is Clever Alch. We are only 1-barring this because we want to be able to control the proc. It gives lots of HP and a lot of effective weapon power because of how much weapon damage you get from the set. It is a sharpened Maul, and before you're thinking about over penetrating, it's kind of hard when everyone you run into has like 30k plus resistance right now. Some people are still running around like 18k and stuff, and I mean they're really squishy. They usually got proc sets or something else going on with their build. We are using a Clever Alch Maul, and we're still using the weapon damage enchantment. The other pieces of Clever Alchemist we have are more Inpen pieces. We got the medium bracers, medium belt, and medium clever. On the back bar, we are using defending, master, sword and board. So we're using defending instead of powered because it's better to get 1.6k physical and spell resist rather than trying to get an extra 300 physical and spell resist. Defending, in my opinion, is best in slot dispatch, especially when you're using something like sword and board and you want to try to stack resistance when you already have a lot of pen and a lot of weapon damage. So yeah, defending sword, and then we have a reinforced shield. Again, we're taking advantage of stacking resistances. And then the poisons we're using, straight up brutality draining poisons. So this inflicts minor maim, and then it grants you minor brutality. You don't really need this if you're playing with the DK in your group. They already give you minor brutality through passives. But if you run around solo or duo, you're not always going to have a DK near you to give you that buff. So you do a heavy attack into puncture, and this is almost guaranteed to proc. And while this is up, your weapon damage enchantment can be up at the same time. Yeah, those are currently the sets I am using. Let me just quickly go through the bar setup. I explained a lot of these abilities often, so I'm not really gonna go through it. We got Camel Hunter for the minor berserk. We got Biting Jabs. Of course, this is our spammable. We got Executioner, no Power of the Light anymore since Power of the Light kind of got gutted. I don't like having to work to get an ability that'll crit for like 6k max when everything is fully buffed. It's just not worth it anymore. And this really helps me finish targets. Got Turn Evil. I've been liking this a lot because of the, well, it's just overall it's an AoE CC. I don't have to CC spam multiple targets. I can just drop this and it CCs multiple people inside of it. It drops like tanky DK blocks or anyone that's pretty much blocking, since there's a lot of tanks running around right now. This really does fuck them over. And then the minor protection is honestly really good. And even when your allies are standing in it, it gives them that buff as well. And of course we got Rally, or you know, the burst heal and the major brutality. We're using Dawnbreaker of Smiting here. Of course, best in slot ult in my opinion. CCs multiple people, puts a good dot on. I wear the soft buff up. Already at a 20k, not including Balorgh, and I don't think my weapon damage poisons proc either. So yes, the tooltip does go really high. Backbar, we have Elude. Why not race against time? Well, this will proc outside of global cooldown, and we are trying to be tanky. With all the AoEs this patch, I honestly feel extremely tanky. And then when you run through an AoE, you also get Major Expedition for a couple seconds. In my opinion, this is best slot on Stamplar. We are not using snare removal because we have extended ritual. So since we are using Master Sword and Board, Puncture got really like buffed like hardcore. So now it gives like almost 9k penetration, which is a lot of effective weapon power, which is another reason why I dropped Power of the Light. I didn't need the other morph to get minor protection because I'm already getting minor protection, turn evil, and then passives while I'm jabbing, etc. Of course, we have Restore and Focus here. Gives us our resistance buffs, and then a little bit of stamina regen. And then we have Extended Ritual, which is like the bread and butter of Stamplar. It's a lot of damage mitigation. You remove remove debuffs, sorry. And then the heal over time actually can help a lot. It's 2k here, which is like 1k excluding other battle spirit stuff, but it's actually not that bad. And it's also some group utility. They get to activate Purify and get rid of all the harmful effects. And of course, we have Resolve and Vigor on the back bar. Or, of course, the big heal. And then we're using Spell Wall on the back bar. Obvious reasons, defensive ult. You need to get the fuck out. You pop that, and you run away, or you pop that, fight a Sork, and blow the Sork up, and actually body them. If you don't want to use that, you can use Remembrance. That's always another option. If you don't want to use Dawnbreaker, you can always use Onslaught or Berserker Rage. And if not, you can always use Crescent. Crescent or Empowering. So to get to the CP is just a little bit different now. But I'm going to go through it quickly. We got 19 into Blessed. We got 81 into Master at Arms. And 39 into Physical Weapon Expert. Of course, we want the Tactician buff, which is why we are using so many into Master at Arms. 0 into Thom because we don't really have any dot pressure. Precise Strikes, we got 37 into that for a lot of extra critical damage since we do have decent crit in this build. 30 points into Piercing. We are using Sharpened Maul, and I think 2600 is a good flat average to get on top of all the other pen you can get in this build. 64 points into Mighty, again because I feel like we don't need too much into Piercing because of all of our other skills and traits, and even the pen that we get from Balorgh. We have a lot of pen already, so I'd rather increase the tooltips after that, after getting a good amount of pen. So that's why I got 64 into Mighty. So with the nerf to crit and the crit percentages, and then Markarth being a big meta, I felt like it was not as important to run a lot into Resistant anymore. So I actually dropped this and I put CP into the other line. So we got 15 into Resistant, 51 into Ironclad still. A lot of damage mitigation. We got a little bit into Spell Shield for a little bit of spell resistance. And then we got 31 into Medium Armor Focus, which is almost like the Minor Breach equivalent. We got only 16 at the Thick Skinned. Why? Because we can purify the dots, most of them at least. And then, like, even though we have a 12k magical pull, you could always pop tripods and re-purify again if that's needed. We got Hardy, and we have 56 points into it. 56 points into this, and Elemental Defender. This is what I'm always pretty much guaranteed to have on my builds. And then we have 27 points into Quick Recovery, again for more healing. So on the green tree, we switched it up a bit. I feel like I should have some more points into Sprinter, but I've been okay at 31, especially with Elude. constantly getting that major expedition is pretty nice, but we should take more advantage of Sprinter in my opinion. 31 into Warlord, 16 into Bashing Focus, and I got 1 into Siphoner just to add another debuff to my enemy if they're cleansing everything. Pretty bad, not gonna lie. It's just I had 1 extra CP and I couldn't put it anywhere else. We have 56 into Mooncalf to get more stamina regen. We have 64 into Tenacity, of course, for heavy attacks and off-balance heavy attacks. Give you lots and lots of stamp back. If you don't want to use all the points into Tenacity, you could split it between Healthy, because when we do pop a pot, we get 1700 health recovery. So if you wanted to take advantage of that, you could. 40 points into Tumbling, and then 31 points into Shadow Ward. But this is my current build that I've been using. Don't really have a name for it. I'm kind of over all the names, to be honest. I have ran around and gotten some 1vx in it. This feels like my most 1vx capable build if you guys are into that, especially with how high the stam regen can get. Really, really high. I believe I've seen like 2500, which is like, whew, like that's really high for my builds, guys. The HP is good. The sets, in my opinion, are really good and controllable. 7th and Clever. If you don't have Clever, you can always use Briarheart. That way, if you proc a front bar and you swap the back bar, the buff is still up while it activates. If you don't want that, then you can always use like New Moon Acolyte, for example, or any other static set. Yeah, guys, I'm pretty sure I've gone over everything. Yep, Artaeum, you can use Dubious if you don't have that. Serpent, lots of extra regen, and then just stacking with the buffs to major and minor endurance, and then the 2-hand passive like Battle Rush, and then on top of all of that, continuous attack as well. Like, you can get your stam regen really high. So the stam pool I feel like is kind of irrelevant. I dropped, or I kept, infused weapon damage here, just on, because I know I'm going to use this on different characters / tunes. I kept all of this infused. I dropped Tri-Stat. I knew it would drop my maximum stamina a bit, but I felt like I didn't need it too much anymore, because overall weapon damage and Pen is just a lot higher effective weapon power than max stam is. And then also got me a lot of recovery through that as well. 310 plus Artaeum's recovery, fat regen on this build, plus heavy attacks, plus Battle Rush, plus potions. Really easy to get regen, so I'm not worried about this as long as our weapon damage is still hitting incredibly high. So thank you guys for watching. That is the build. Slightly shorter video. I'm tired of sitting here for like 7 hours and explaining each individual ability. If you do have questions about the abilities though, feel free to comment down below or ask me in the Discord, or even PM me on Discord. I can supply substitutes and different bar setups if you guys are interested in that, but this is just what I'm currently running, and it's been a blast. It's been amazing. It's been probably my favorite build so far. I honestly don't want to switch away from it, but I probably will eventually. Again, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys around.